But today we are going to create a different instance of a form, how we can create a separate file, a forms.py file, and we can store all the forms in that file, and we can render the form whenever required without writing the repetition of the HTML code. So that brings some kind of an alternative solution how we can create a form and how we can submit them. So let's get started with this. So I have few links, so you can have a look at these links. So I've opened these links on my browser as well. So first one is this. So today we are basically going to work in something this kind. We are going to create a form in this such way, and I've defined below how we can fetch the clean data from the form. This will remove the special characters and special characters, and these are the widgets in the form. So basically there are different types of widgets. One is a text input, number input, email, URL, password, hidden input, date, time input, text area. Then some other also checkbox, radio select. So there are file input. So these are some like many options in the form, and how you can render the form on your front end part using today we are going to work with a different alternative solution. So let's get started with this. So what we'll do first, I'll have a quick recap of the last lecture. First I'll open my file, urls.py file. So like in the previous tutorial I showed you that we created two URLs, one to render the form, that was my form, and another was the URL to submit the form. So I used to render a form using my form, then I used to submit that form, and we used to move to this URL. Then then we had our backend logic. Then we can process the form data at this URL. Okay. So today what we are going to do, we are only going to create only one URL, and we'll only create a one URL and work with in such a way that it will help us out to do both the things. So first what I'll do, okay, I'll create a URL path. I'll define my form 2, and I'll call a view function views dot my form 2, and I'll define a name to it. Name is equal to my form 2. Okay, so I've defined this in such a way that you don't get confused with the previous one. So today we are going to work with my form 2. Okay, now what are we going to do? Okay, this is my app file, and inside my app I'll create a new file with the name forms.py. Okay, so this looks pretty fine. And what we are going to do, so I'm inside my forms.py file, and I'll move to this link. Okay, so today the very first line you need to type is from Django import forms. Okay, so what you need to do, from Django import forms. Okay, so why I'm doing this, this will help. And first I would run my server python manage.py run server. So this would help me to know if there's any such error. Okay, the server will tell me. Okay, so from Django import forms, and now you'll create a class for your form which will define, okay, I'll create a class is equal to feedback feedback form. Okay, I'll have a small b, sorry, feedback form. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do forms dot form. Okay, so this is the syntax you need to follow. Okay, now we are done with this. Okay, now I'll define two fields here. One is the title, okay, and another one is subject. Okay, so I'm going to define, and what I'm going to do, I'll create a char field, since forms dot char field, okay, and forms dot char field. So this looks pretty fine. Okay, I've defined two char fields here. So I'll give a name, sorry, I'll give a label with the max length. I define label is equal to title. Okay, now this is fine. Label is equal to we can call it as subject description subject description, and I'll define a max underscore length is equal to 50 for this, and in the same way I'll define max underscore length is equal to 200 for this. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm also going to add a different attribute here. Here you can see that I can also define widget is equal to forms.text input. Okay, so I'll copy this, and in this way you are going to text input here for this, and for this one what I'll do, I'll change this to as text area. Okay, so if I'm not wrong, I'm correct with the spelling. Okay, this is text area, right? So here you can see this is text area, this is text input. Okay, so I have created the form successfully. So this is the form. What you need to do from Django, import forms, class feedback form, forms.form, then title, with the both of them having a label of title, subject description, max length, and the widget being the text input and the text area respectively. Now I'll move to my views.py file, and I'll define my form 2 will take a request as a parameter, and before using this, what I'll do, I'll type from dot forms. So basically I'm referring to this file from forms.py, import star. So you can import every form you want. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'll put a if condition, if request dot method is equal to post. Okay, elif, just for the basic understanding I'm doing this, request dot method is equal to get. So for the same route we are going to check if the request method was get or post. Okay, so if it was a get method, so what I'll do, I'll create a form, and that form was, this was the name of my form, feedback form. Okay, so I have a feedback form, and okay, so basically this is equivalent to this. Okay, so this is just for having this is equivalent to this, and what I'm going to do now, I'll have execute a pass statement here. I'm keeping a pass statement till the now that it doesn't throw me an error, and I'll have a form, and what I'll do, I'll return render request, and I'll first define my dictionary is equal to form. Okay, and I'll pass this form, and I'll then request, and I'll make up my form 2.html. okay, and context is equal to my dictionary. Okay, sorry, I'm wrong with the syntax. Now this is fine, but right now I have not defined my form2.html. okay, so I'll go to my templates folder, and I'll create a new file, my form2.html. okay, now what I'll do, I'll extend my template, so I'll have any page, suppose I'll have this is a second.html. okay, I'll have this page. So basically right now what I'm doing, Okay, so I'll change the title my form 2. Okay, what I'll do, I'll create a form. Now that's it. I'll create a form, and now what I'm going to do, basically I had rendered the form. So I'll just, what I'm doing, I'll define the logic when I get to the post method. So define my form 2. So if the request dot method is equal to post, till now I've defined a pass statement, we'll define the logic. But if the method is get, we'll create the form. Okay, we will get the form from that class, and then we will render that form to my form2.html using the dictionary. And now simply we'll move to my form and simply type form dot as underscore p. Okay, so I'll restart my server. Okay, now this looks pretty fine, so this should work now. Now I'll go to my local host. So the server has started, and I'll go to my form 2. Oh, now you can see like the form has been made. So I didn't write the HTML code. So what I did, I'll move to my forms.py file. I had defined the title and subject. I've already defined the text input as well as the text area. Then I went to my views.py file. If the request method was get, so I had initialized the form, then I had rendered on the page. Okay, and then when I went to my HTML page, then I had without writing the HTML, I was able to successfully add the form using the HTML. Sorry, using this by rendering the form. Okay, so what you can see, so as underscore p means as paragraphs. Okay, so when I move to my page, so I simply click on Control plus U. So this will give me a source code. So what here you can see, here the form has paragraph tags P, P, P. Okay, so this means form was rendered using the paragraphs. Okay, now what you can do, I will type form as table. Form as table. So when I move to my page, now here you can see the form has been rendered using a table. So table row, table heading, table data, then table row respectively. Okay, so this is fine, right? Okay, I'll zoom this. Okay, this is here you can see this had been rendered using a table. Okay, and when I did form underscore as p, so this means it was paragraph. So I'll also do this. I'll refresh this page, then Control U. So here you can see this was paragraph. Okay, here you can see P for paragraph, and another. Now also one you can undo. You can say form as UL. So this would give unordered list. So I'll refresh this page. So you can here bullet marks. This represents the unordered list. So I simply Control plus U now, and you can see here you can see here's the form. Yes, yeah, here's the form. You can see list has been declared, list item, and the form has been rendered using a list. So in the next tutorial we are going to continue with this, and then I will tell you the basic part where if the request method had been the post. So what I'm going to tell you, if the form will be submitted on, so what will happen. So next we will try to style up this form, as well as how we can render the errors, and how we can fetch the clean data, and how we can check the validity of the form. So this would help us really